Do not test.
Hello and welcome to this broadcast of the Gwent Beta Brawl. This tournament has changed its format. It is now a Swiss format competition, and we have a match between Doduododo and Murden AR. Northern Realms versus Monsters. The coolest thing about the new Beta Brawls format is that it allows players to participate in best of threes against their opponents. You get a lot of play in the tournament in general, and also you can flex into any deck you want, which I think is appropriate for the early stages of a beta, as we get to see a lot more in terms of just trying to mess around and try different matchups out here and there. You could see that Murden AR opted for the Monsters early, so I'm wondering if he expected his opponent to go into a Skellige, where Monsters might have a bit of an edge, but that is not the case. Of course, Northern Realms being brought up by Doduododo in the form of Radovid. As we see Akvis come out into the battlefield, this is on the newest patch 0.8.25. Akvis really strong, of course. Debatable whether he was stronger before or not, but an amazing card. And he's joined by the Reaver Hunter, as the Reaver Hunter tries to bring his friends out to the battlefield. Aridin and an Archgriffin are on the other side of the field. It looks like Promote will come out on Akvis here. Meriden AR sitting at 15 strength against 10. So he's actually at a point where the Reaver is going to pull out a buddy and tie the round, which is a bit tricky. But actually he pulls ahead by one, that's right, because the Reaver will tick up his buddy. He decided to pass. It's a little bit of a questionable pass because the most he's getting is one card advantage here, but perhaps his hand made it necessary for him to pass. It looks like Doduododo is going to be able to drop down the Trebuchet, take back Akvis, so it's not a bad play having to play an extra card, and he's taking some strength off of his opponent's monsters, so whatever stays on the battlefield will stay in an injured state, and it will be Aridin. So a bit of luck the way of Murden. It's only a 50-50, so he kept it reasonable, and he gets rewarded by keeping Aridin on the battlefield. He's up one card now, and we'll see what he can do in round two. Ooh! This is not something we expect out of monster players, especially showing an Archgriffin early. He used the Skellige Storm, and it brings out Foglets. So a bit of a curveball here. So he may be running a hybrid deck. Foglets are gonna actually stay on the battlefield right now. There's no first light in the hand of Doduododo. He does get an amazing pull from Stennis, Bork being the absolute downfall of many monster decks. So Doduododo, Northern Realms player, has a Bork to try and get him through this round. We do see Avalok come out from the Monsters player, so he's going to do what he can to try and get card advantage and build on the card advantage he got first round and try and win this round efficiently. He's up by a good margin right now, 21-8, but since we can see Bork, we know that this can change rather quickly. Lacerate will take a couple of units off the battlefield. We'll see there's a lot of reses available to Northern Realms right now in the form of Naneka Shani and a Field Medic. So those deaths may not be permanent. As we do see Naneka opt to res Avalak, who was hit by a Kidweni Sergeant, and Northern Realms will play for the card advantage since they're already up one round. It seems to be a wise play. Murden's response is to decoy Avalok back, and I'll take him again. So these plays by Murden are really nice because he's still at a strength lead. He's not over-investing anything right now. He's playing with what the board is giving him. But Bork presents a real issue for monsters here, as Murden responds by putting out a Ghoul, which, once again, really interesting for Murden. It seems to be a hybrid deck between big monsters and some kind of weather control. You wouldn't think that Ghoul would have synergy in a deck with Foglet, but if he's only playing the Foglets on round 2, then it might work out more often than you'd expect. But Bork right now has two juicy targets on that melee row of the monster player in the form of Prince Dennis and Ghoul on 8, and then the second strongest target on the board being the 7 strength Aridin. And a huge play by Priscilla there pulls out the first light, clears the weather. It is looking beautiful outside right now, and the Foglets are off the field. So Murden, playing with a big strength lead all game, has now seen it dwindle in front of him. He throws down Siri, which is going to be more or less a 6 strength gold card that has no additional value because of the fact that he's down around. And Doduododo is playing Radovid, and I know many Radovid players want to just smack the Siri every time they see her, but there's really no need here as he deliberates his next play. Looking at his hand, it looks like he wants to keep the Kidwani Sergeant for after Bork is done activating. He could break him, have him next turn. That card has huge value against monsters, and the fact that he has Shani in hand means that he can really get the most out of it next round to try and close out the game. But he's taking a bit to determine his play here, checking the grave, and if he reses the Akvis, it's really good res, because this round doesn't look like it's too close to being over. Akvis, of course, only 4 strength, wouldn't be too much of a hassle, but he's going to decoy out Priscilla instead. That's an interesting choice because he knows his opponent has a silver Avlok in hand. So opting to use his decoy on Priscilla instead of saving it for Avlok means that he's fairly confident he's going to apply enough pressure where the opponent won't be able to reasonably play Avlok this round unless he gets desperate. And the card advantage he does gain from Avlok would have to be reinvested into the round, so he's not too worried about it. As we see the Kidwani Sergeant being toyed with here, I think you have to Kidwani this Bork now. Doduododo is up 12-8 against Murden. Murden's going to have to break out some of the more big strength units from his deck. Now that the weather's cleared on the back rows and he used the Aeromancy to Biting Frost himself, saves a couple units, but ooh, he brings out the Clear Skies. And it's actually just a wash, the Clear Skies, as both players are able to return 12 strength to their melee row. The pass from Doduododo here, though, means that he's set for next round, and Murden's only going to go down 1 card as he plays Alzur's Thunder to take round 2. Murden 100% is going to keep that Ghoul at 4 strength. Not the best keep, but in a round where you played Foglets, anytime you keep something better than a 0, you have to be pretty happy with it. And honestly, if you're Doduododo right now, you have a hand that you're very happy with. Has most of the components of what you'd want in a hand. So it's going to be, Otis is going to be on Murden here to try and really take the fight to the Northern Realms player. Try and work around the Shani into Bork that's probably inevitable at this point. Oh, and just bad luck for Murden there as the Avlok draws 1 card for Northern Realms, and that 1 card is Bloody Baron. That is a devastating turn of events, and now Murden has to really climb in terms of damage. He hasn't played too many spells. He's going to get through some more cards here. In fact, he's going to get through all of his deck. So Avlok being played twice, and the use of, I believe, 2 muster units helps him to get through his whole deck in 3 rounds, which is not something you see from monsters very often. So whatever tools he has to win the game, whether it be maybe a Frightener, maybe Water Hag in this situation, something that can suppress the strength on the battlefield, he must have it in hand. And we'll see what he can do with it, because it's very tight for him right now. He's looking at a lot of strength from the opponent. Water Hag, we know if he played it right now, there's no counter from the opponent. No first light in hand. So it'll be extremely effective. But Johnny comes out instead, is going to try and dig for something greater. Interesting thing about Johnny here is that it does put a card back in Murden's deck. So if he had something like a Giant Toad in hand, now he can use it reasonably without just fully discarding. Geralt Igni will come out and take out 12 strength from the siege row. So Murden's only down by 2.
What do you want of me?
Field Medic reses a Trebuchet. Trebuchet will deal some damage to Murden's melee row. Alzur's Thunder takes out the Akvis right before he was going to return to the hand. Nice play there to prevent more card advantage from coming into play. And, wow, interesting. So the Ocfist is going to be the play from Doduododo. He doesn't go for Bork. And maybe he's nervous about weather hitting the battlefield. As Woodland Spirit is the response from Murden. Puts him up on strength for the first time this round. 31 to 30. The smart move by Doduododo to take out a couple of Foglets. Remove some value from Thunderbolt Potion. But there it is. It's the Frightener. And it looks like Doduododo has been punished significantly for not bringing back Bork, which would have been on a 3-turn timer, which would have forced Murden to either play differently, or I'm not sure what he's going to feel about this. He doesn't have the strength to bring back this match unless he really finds some prizes here. Ocfist will pop off one more time, and it's so close. Oh, he does have enough. This is absurd. Look at that Ocfist value there. Oh, that was so close. I thought that he had it. But having the extra Trebuchet in the deck actually saved him. If that Reaver Scout wasn't able to pull out the last Trebuchet, he would have been doomed there. So that's game one. We have another game coming your way. Don't go anywhere. I'm HG3. This is the Gwent Beta Brawl. Let's check out the next game. Game 2 of the Gwent Beta Brawl series between Murden AR and Doduododo. Game 1 had an absurd ending. Make sure you go back, rewind that, watch it again. I was so certain that was not going to happen. That was awesome. Let's see if Game 2 could live up to the hype here. It looks like Doduododo has switched factions to instead play Skellige this game. Looking at his cards in hand, it seems like what you'd expect to see from a Herald discard Skellige. Interesting that he does have a Queen's Guard and a Skirmisher, though. Starts off with the Warship. Avallac'h will open for monsters again. In this matchup, no threat of Avallac'h being replayed back at you, so not a horrible opening, especially since we know that Murden's monster deck has some heavy hitters in it. We also know that at some point in this first round, probably right now, Doduododo is going to play the Clandemon Pirates, which is going to mean that each ghoul played by Murden is going to come out at 10 strength. Or, now that Johnny's in the grave, oh, Johnny doesn't go to the grave because he's fleeting. So they would have come out at 10 strength, but instead, Murden wants nothing to do with this round. He'll just pass out of it. Interesting strategy by Murden. And it's hard to be critical because of how close he was last game. Like, it seems like he's acknowledging the fact that monsters are not good at getting card advantage. So he instead is sacrificing round 1 to get some type of card advantage and saying that, hey, I can climb in terms of strength better than you can as a monster player against the Skellige player, which is not the easiest thing to claim because Skellige players, you know, if you have skirmishers online, they can climb a lot. As Bernabrand pulls out the Restoration, and a Queen's Guard will pop out too. So really interesting strat and play by Murden AR that we don't see too often. And we'll see if it works out for him here in game 2. Wild Hunt Riders are on the battlefield. Last Wish going to allow him to sort through more of his deck. We saw in game 1 he was able to get through his entire deck, which is an impressive feat. Oncrate Raider joins the Queen's Guard on the melee row, and definitely have to be concerned with the Aeromancy here, but it seems like that is not going to be a concern as the Ghoul rejects his own Foglet. Really bad luck there from Murden. You got to feel for him on that one, because we know that Skellige has at least 5 units in the grave, and he hits one of his own Foglets and removes that Foglet from the game. So the downside of running Ghouls with Foglets, they have counter synergy for certain, but if he plays it carefully, he doesn't have to worry about it. But since he sacked round 1 and Last Wish showed him Foglets, of course you're going to want to discard those. As a 4th Wild Hunt Rider comes out, and now Johnny's secrets have been revealed to the world. Johnny turned a bronze card into a Wild Hunt Rider. So not great value from Johnny. We all know how difficult it can be to convince Johnny to do you a solid one. And he messes around a bit here for Murden as well. So Murden, in terms of luck right now, is not doing great. But in terms of strength on the board, he's looking good. He's up double plus 4. So we're looking at 19 strength over his opponent. Now down to 14, but still a sizable amount. But that is taking into consideration the fact that Doduododo has played 2 disloyal units in the form of Burnabrand and Donar and Hindar. Ghoul comes out, hits something reasonable this time. So now a 10 strength Ghoul on the board. Difficulty with running the Ghoul alongside stuff like Wild Hunt Riders is that when it comes to the RNG to try and make it to next round, nothing is for certain, as Doduododo uses Ermion and finds cards that he can't really keep in his hand. Has to discard the Queen's Guard, which he'll do happily, but the Priestess of Freya, unfortunate because we already know Sig's in the grave, so he's going to have to play Sig here and decoy her out, otherwise he's top decking for a res. As Holger Blackhand comes out and will try and even the strength out even more. Now only an 8 strength lead for Murden, but he has still managed to work himself up a card at the moment. He has to play here, of course, because he's down around. Sorry, it seems like the music is cutting out a little bit. That's okay. We'll work around it. And Murden AR is toying with the idea of playing the second card in his hand, which is Skellige Storm. And that means it's a 12 strength advantage. We know that the decoy is going to come here onto Siggy. So one more card is going to be asked of Murden, and it's going to be Rally. Not a bad idea to thin his deck a little more. He probably should have placed that Archgriffin on his ranged row, because he would have gotten more back from Donar and Hindar than he would have lost from his 2 Foglets, but I don't think that's going to change too much in this round. Unless Doduododo tries to go for the all-in. He has a lot of targets for Harold, and he's going to use it. So he's decided to commit very heavily to this round, and Murden now has to be questioning his choice of playing that Archgriffin in the siege row instead of on the ranged row. And he has to drop the Frightener. Oh, this is a bad turn of events for Murden, as Doduododo sees the Frightener, is going to pass out of the round. Doduododo has worked his way back into card advantage, up 2-1 going last round. He has Siggy for the res. Oh, but the Frightener keep from Murden. Oh my goodness, that RNG is fantastic. It may have just made up for itself. Oh, the early Aromancy, because he only has 2 cards in hand. He didn't have a choice. He knows that Siggy is going to have to try and res a Freya out of the grave into one other card, and now he just has to hope that 23 strength is enough.
I'm ready.
But with Queen Ceres and Sig resing into the melee row on a skirmisher or on the Queen's Guard, we know that it will not be enough. And it looks like Doduododo will take down this series. A good thing for Murden is that you get to play a lot of games in the new format for the Beta Brawl. And congratulations to the victor, Doduododo. But very interesting deck from Murden. I'm excited to see more of it. It is a hybrid deck. He got pretty unlucky in this game, but props to him for trying out something different. And Doduododo played really well and really solidly. So, hope you enjoyed this commentary of the Gwent Beta Brawl tournament. If you would like more, be sure to like this video and comment down below. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Gwent City. We have plenty of content coming out for you guys, and I hope to see you again in the future. I'm HG3, and I'll see you next time.